yourself a sip. Pour sugar in your coffee, chocolate in your milk. Organize the big side plate, but you can't shake your shadow. You can swat a mosquito, pop a balloon, clean up the clutter. You can rearrange the room, organize the record, pick a side to play, but you can't shake your shadow away.
Hey, what is going on, Aces, Axes fans? We are here October 11th, 2024 in Funkin' Waffles with Mr. Ric Robertson of the Ric Robertson Band. I am super excited because I like talking with people that have a lot of talent. This man right next to me wears more hats than I think Burlington Coat Factory sells these days. You play rhythm guitar, lead guitar, vocals, bass, and tonight you're going to be playing exclusively keys.
Yeah.
So you are an extremely talented person,
bass
Rick.
tonight, so we don't have a bass guitar player tonight.
Kind of like the Doors. Hey, the Doors didn't have a bass player live, and one of the biggest rock bands of all time. So
yeah, I tour and I play solo gigs, and then I also play with bands.
Right.
But the band changes all the time.
Right.
So my ability to switch instruments a lot of times is just out of necessity of what is needed night to night.
That was actually one of my main questions was, so do you feel most comfortable behind a piano? Or is there one where if you were like, perfect world, and you could just be like, this was a touring band, would there be one role that you would do every night?
I like having a role. So, you know, I'm really, it's hard for me when people often ask what's my favorite instrument.
Right.
I will say piano was the one I started when I was youngest, though not the one I pursued the most as a kid.
Understandable.
But it was how I fell in love with music, and it's what I've arrived back at, about 10 years ago, I guess now. I had moved to New Orleans.
Nice.
And I got really obsessed with piano then.
Yeah.
You know, that was when I was 25.
Awesome.
So it kind of arrived in my life again. You know, I'd been playing with music school, but that was for other instruments.
Right.
So piano is kind of, sorry to answer your question, I'm tangent a little bit.
No, tangent
piano
away,
is,
man.
Is certainly the, something about it, man. Sitting down and on the memories from when I was young, and as a writing device, I tend to gravitate toward piano.
I wish, I'm a guitar player and I've played for 25 plus years, and I wish I had played keyboards. Paul Gilbert's one of my favorite guitar players, and obviously he was a shredder, but he talks about how he wanted to become a keyboard player on guitar. So he learned all the crazy chords, from the 70s pop songs, because he's like, without a keyboard player, he's like, we can't play some of these stuff. So he learned chords.
And that's another reason I like switching instruments a lot, and I've done that my whole life.
Really?
Is because what you learn on one instrument does translate in an interesting way.
Right.
You know, I got really into old-time fiddle. That translates to the keyboard. You know what I mean?
Do you play fiddle also?
I play fiddle too, yeah.
Awesome, because
fiddle and mandolin. You know, mandolin I actually grew up playing and went to college for mandolin performance.
That's awesome, man. And so
it's kind of a trip.
I worked at Guitar Store, like I was saying, for a dozen years selling guitars. So you kind of have to learn all of those instruments enough to kind of, pick up to sell to people. And I got not even really fat fingers. Mandolin seems like a very hard instrument to play, and everything with the chords and everything like that. But that was
just small. I mean, I started that when I was young. So
right.
It made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
13, I had small hands.
That's awesome.
Smaller hands.
And that's actually quite interesting, because usually when I think mandolin, I think of fast, and your music is not fast whatsoever. So that's interesting.
But
that
I did grow up playing a lot of bluegrass and old time music, and speed and virtuosity is a part of it, just like it is in jazz or bebop or something like that. And it's its own.
Totally. And it's harder to play. I play fast. I play thrash metal and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it is because it's just, one of those things when you learn how to play, sometimes things just become permanent, but it's harder to play slow for sure, at least in my opinion, than it is to let that room breathe, because then you make a mistake, that mistake is known a lot more than if you're just already on to the next note and everything like that. So.
It's really just whatever the song calls for is like kind of the thread for me with music.
That's awesome.
Because I also toured as a bass player with Donna the Buffalo.
Oh, very cool. I did not know that. That's awesome.
In that band, I just came back from doing a weekend with them, and when I'm on the road with them, I split the gig with somebody else, so I'm able to do my own thing. But it does fill in the gaps touring with Donna. And on that gig, I'm the bass player. That's it.
Right. You have your role, which is nice, like you said.
I love it. I like having a role that's needed in whatever situation.
Now, I think I had noticed in one of the videos of you playing bass, it was a short scale bass. Do you play normal bass in Donna the Buffalo, or is it?
Well, in Donna, we use all of their gear because they're kind of this. I mean, they own their own bus.
Oh, very cool.
Jeb drives it. And
that's awesome.
That's how the gear is too. It's this beautiful arrangement of things that have kind of ended up there that from a curated.
And you're very obviously
about sound. So I use a bass. It's called a Ventura.
Oh, very cool.
And it's a hollow body. It's like a big.
Nice.
Almost like I forget what the Gibson one is, but it's got F holes and.
Yeah, I always think of Alan Woody and everything like that, because I believe he had used a semi-hollow.
I love a hollow bass.
Yeah,
with the F holes.
Yeah.
And playing through a little stack,
That's fantastic, man.
Tiny,
So you have 3 albums that's come out under the Ric Robertson Band. In 2018, we had The Fool, the Friend. 2021, Caroline's Child, and it looks like 2024. Choices and Chains, you've released...
Every single is actually out now.
Oh, fantastic.
Which means the record's out, but in singles. But
right.
I think next week it'll be out as a...
That's awesome.
Which is the way we ended up releasing it. But the last single came out, I think, 2 days ago, the title track.
That's great.
So 3rd record out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I listen to lots of different styles of music, so I kind of like to put my spin on where I think maybe your influences are and kind of go from there. So when I listened to Carolina's Child as a whole, it sounded like to me if Paul Simon wrote Magical Mystery Tour in a saloon unless Claypool was there hanging out.
I love that review.
Does any of that reflect?
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Because I like it. Because
yeah.
everybody's different. We all come from completely different backgrounds,
Sure.
which is what I like.
Sure.
But I like to know if what I'm hearing is anything that's
Well,
coming
of
from
course.
the artist.
It's all affirmed by whatever the audience perceives. There's no wrong perception.
Right. But you
it's not
have
up to us.
a beautiful. It's not salt. I don't want to say your voice is sultry, but it has that. I was listening to it and through headphones. I like listening to music through really nice headphones, and it was the Paul Simon playful. The song he had with Chevy Chase, it was that.
You call me out?
Yes. It was playful in parts. It was serious in parts, and it was just
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess to break that down, I'm your review, Paul Simon, big hero of mine.
Awesome.
Yes, for sure.
And he
his
also
song.
multi-instrumented fella and everything, because I believe he plays bass and drums and lots of things, doesn't
I'm
he?
sure. I don't think Paul. Not that as far as I'm aware of, he's really a great guitar player and pretty
Okay.
focused on that. I mean, he plays a lot of percussion. I know he's interested in percussion.
Yeah, but maybe
I don't know how much of that he recorded on his records are always great. Jim Keltner,
Right.
these session guys, and he tours with an incredible band, many percussionists. But yeah, from a singing perspective, a writing perspective, Paul, big influence, and the humor. He has humor in a lot of his songs, but like you said, there's an edge. And then would you say Saloon? So the country bluegrass thing.
Yeah, and so
I was steeped in a lot of that, and love a lot of country music.
I love, I used to stay up late at night and Time Warner, Time Life Classics would come on, and it would be the Get 12 CDs, and it would be those 1950s country ballads, Tammy Wynette singing about divorce, everybody in the matching Paisley outfits, and I was like, I can get down with this for sure. I love that look and that era of country music. So that was kind of the saloon that I heard from it and
That
everything.
was in there. Willie's a huge songwriting influence.
Awesome.
And Merle Haggard and Roger Miller. And, another great country songwriter, Roger Miller.
I was going to say, no, I do not. So
he's
great to
especially
hear.
as far as the humor incorporated, he's really interesting. He had a few hits, but he was sort of an underground figure in some ways, at least to the present, country music connoisseur young person.
Right.
But he had a hit, King of the Road.
Oh, yes, I do know that song. King of the Road.
That was him, yeah. Trailers for sale. He also did the song in Robin Hood. Did you ever see the animated?
Oh, yes, I absolutely love that
Walking
one.
Through the forest, oodle-la, oodle-la.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's kind of, very playful, amazing singer and all that. So the other one you said, Magical Mystery Tour, of course, the Beatles, major influence.
Yeah.
Writing of the whole, they're the Beatles. So
Right.
we don't need to sit on a podcast and talk about why the Beatles are good, but we can.
Right.
From a production standpoint and working in albums is really important. Seems to be, at least for now. I don't know if important is the right word. It's useful for me to work in increments like that. Mm-hmm. At least have a vision on that harvest cycle. Mm. And for the way I record, which is generally live.
Oh, cool.
And then post in a way that can be mixed pretty creatively, which you probably might have heard if you listen to some of the records. There's a lot of sonic exploration with in post.
One of the newer songs that I absolutely love is The Rain.
Yeah.
Do you know who Tricky is, the trip hop artist? Have you ever heard of trip hop?
I've heard of trip hop.
Yeah.
I don't know that artist.
So he was in Massive Attack, and then he kind of went to do his own thing. So I love just that. Sounds like it's 60 beats a minute, and he's a German Jamaican, so he has a very different accent and everything like that.
Yeah.
But that song, the first time I heard it, I was like, okay. And then 2.5 minutes in, the piano gets, I called it loose. As a guitar player, I didn't know how else to describe the tone, but you kind of got loose, and then it ramps up crazy towards the end. It almost I couldn't tell if it was a distorted piano or if it was actually a distorted guitar.
Playing the melody?
Yes, that
so funny
dude,
you
that
asked
breakdown is,
Yeah.
it almost sounds like the Muse almost, how they almost have some of those just super heavy break, and I was just like, it took me for a loop in a very positive, it didn't sound like it didn't work. And that
Yeah.
was the good thing, where it was like you traveled with the loose piano and it went there, and I was like,
the song
oh.
builds to that for sure.
Yeah. So do you remember what you were using to record that part by chance?
Well, you know, one of the things was that record, the way the process worked out is a lot of that music was written and finished very close to when we recorded it. I was living in this house in Nashville with my friend Gregor, crazy old mansion, like falling into the ground, like Beetlejuice style.
Fun.
The whole thing. But we were living in that place and writing. Anyway, so at that point we were still kind of arranging the things as had moved the studio into the house and the band was there and playing it.
Right.
And that outro, I was singing it. There was no guitar solo.
Whoa.
I was singing, "Why do we go outside when it rains?" over and over again. Mm-hmm. That whole time we're playing it. And then after the fact, it's like, I don't really believe myself after singing that lyric over and over. I'd rather leave because of the way the lyrics. Mm-hmm. So then I went in, I think, and overdubbed the melody on that guitar.
Yeah.
That was a guitar. And
Okay.
it's, I haven't heard it in a while, but I remember it's like pretty fuzzed out. It's probably through some just turned up really loud in an amp.
Yeah, but
that was one, you know, just since we're on a gear thing, that was done in post.
Very cool.
Everything else, actually, no, the piano stuff that happens right before that, that was done right there after we played it.
Nice.
Everything else is live.
Cool.
So that, you know, that's a trick, and the guys who engineered that record, Dan Molad and Kai Welch, were both amazing.
Yeah.
Dan Molad's in a band called Lucius. You might have heard of them. They're
No,
pretty
I can't say I
indie
have.
pop band, but and Kai's, he used to be with Casey Musgraves. He does all kinds of stuff over the years, but they're both studio buffs. So they figured out a way where we could. Well, you could always add stuff after, but we were able to like isolate a little bit, and at least from a mixing perspective, get some pretty cool sounds after the fact.
Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite tones I had heard out of all the songs and everything.
But yeah, the band is playing live.
Go outside.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I big into live records growing up. You know, all the Kiss Alive records, and there's this live decade, and it's like Jeff Hanneman's hard left, Kerry King's hard right, and it's cool because you can like hear each. You know, they do their solo, and it's like on the head. You're like, oh, I know who's playing the solo and stuff like that.
There's so much you can do with that.
Yeah,
just nice creative mixing, and then there's nothing like the energy of capturing a real moment in musicians interacting. So
right.
That's a big part of the.
I love how you do a lot of different live takes. It seems like different studio recordings and stuff like that. When I've looked you up on YouTube, you have a newer song, Crossword Boss, which you recorded live, or there's a live video of you at Black Bear Recording Studio. Where is that? Can you tell me more about that?
My friend Angelo Paradiso.
It's a beautiful little space there and everything.
Yeah, he's in Ithaca, New York.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and
not far from here, then.
He's got a killer band. We were just at a festival with them last week called New Planets.
Okay.
And then he's been in many projects over the years, but he's got a great little studio spot. And I was playing that's my guitar.
That was one of my questions, was that your Gibson? Because that
thing's been my guitar, like my one acoustic guitar for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's a Gibson LG2 1948. So.
The way you were playing it, I love fingerstyle picking, and you looked very comfortable with it. So I was guessing it was yours, but just a great rendition of the song, and the studio was very cool. And then you also had a bunch of videos up from Temple Cabin Studios.
Yep.
The New Delia Freight Train.
Yeah, New Delia Freight Train. Yeah.
The Fool. Yep. Luck. How did you come about that? Is that something near where you live also?
So that's one of my best friends and band members who's playing with me tonight, playing guitar. Aaron Lipp.
Awesome, yes.
He has this studio called Temple Cabin.
Very cool.
In, basically in Naples, New York.
Okay.
Right, up the mountain there.
Cool.
Up the hill a little bit. And it's phenomenal. He's just an incredible producer and musician, so he plays everything in there. But on top of that, a great engineer, and really has built the space for sound.
That was
and that's for me, we're really close, so that's also the ambiance of he's isolated up on this hill, this amazing view of the lake.
Oh, nice.
And he's been doing this stuff in his house that he built on the top floor, the studio.
Oh, cool.
But just recently started building, well, it's already built, but it's a massive barn.
Oh, very fun.
I'll ask the direct dimensions from him, but it's a whole nother structure. And that'll be with a full console and live room and everything. So
Sweet.
Temple Cabin, people looking to make records in like a very serene environment.
And it sounds fantastic. Those videos sounded fantastic and everything.
He's a great engineer, and
I saw you.
You'll see him play tonight.
Yes. So you work with a lot of different musicians, it seems like, and they all seem very comfortable with picking a guitar up, picking a bass up, picking a piano up.
A lot of multi-instrumentalists.
Yeah. Is that something you look for, or does it just kind of?
Well, it doesn't hurt, but it's something I guess I've just been really lucky to.
Yeah.
Because I've been making music my whole life, and made my living at it too. So through that, you naturally meet a lot of people, and I'm a multi-instrumentalist, and I think maybe we attract to each other in some way.
So that was one of
my.
When
you meet someone else who does that, you're like, okay, like
right.
It's kind of a breed, Because again, like I don't. There is a. It's not always. Sometimes it's overwhelming to play so many instruments for myself, because I can see a version of myself that really commits to each one.
Right.
But in the end, like I just have my moves, which is acceptance of what you got, and for me, that's what I said earlier. The song is the thread.
Right.
And I try to stick to that, as that's my instrument is song.
Our conversation is going very linear, because the last question I had written, I have a few more, but I had written was, with you knowing so many instruments, when you're teaching your song, do you present it as you know what the other instruments you'd like them to play, or are you like, I'm going to show? No. That's awesome.
And sometimes that'll change every night.
Cool.
So like sometimes it's happened where I'm on stage and a song I always play piano on, I just turn to the guys and I have a guitar in my hands and I'm not.
Right.
So then Aaron, if he's on guitar, he'll just run over to the keys.
I
love that. And I love the spontaneity of it, and like you know, I love having a band for that reason because I'm also a sideman in a lot of bands.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm able to create circumstance that I know would be fun.
Right.
One is like curate the songs and have them be good. You try to, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm serious. Like that's a thing, you know, is to like think about the songs and the fact of like what, you know.
Right.
Is going to be easier to get behind. Like, you know what I mean? Like even as far as sometimes I've made the mistake of making arrangements too complicated for no reason.
Okay.
But if my band's changing every night,
Right.
it helps me kind of get to the core of what, you know. Like a great song, you can almost intuit what's going to happen or when to lay out.
Right.
And some of that is me, you know, directing that. But, yeah, the instrument change thing is all the time. So, and not everybody that plays in my bands, the different versions are multi-instrumentalists, but it certainly helps.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely.
actually, everybody in the quartet tonight is.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
They're all great bass players and guitar players and drummers.
It definitely helps when you're trying to let out an idea. I know Michael Jackson didn't know how to play any instruments, but they were like, oh, he can hum anything. You know, it was one of those things where it was like he could hum whatever he wanted anybody to play. But it's
there's
nice
those great
when
videos of him doing that
Yep.
in the studio.
but it's nice when you can be like, oh, I need an E chord, and everybody's like, oh, I know 5 different renditions on my instrument and everything. So
Yeah, and I stay pretty unattached to like how the songs are going to come out. You know, generally now it's at the point where there's a core catalog that I like to play live for now until the next record comes out. But I just send it. I'm like, this is basically the 20 songs you should listen to,
right,
and then don't try to play it like the recording.
right.
You don't have to.
That's awesome.
I like, you know, when people come play them different ways. And
That's great because, I mean, being somebody, especially with different members coming in and out, if you were somebody like Chuck Berry or James Brown who are like, oh, if you played a wrong note, you're not getting paid for the night, no one would want to hang out with you. But it seems like if you're invoking a lot of other musicians to want to join and collaborate
it's
with
a
you.
sustainability approach.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
It's
So-
just like key and like do as much as I like. For example, playing bass while I'm playing piano is challenging. I've never really started doing that until a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
You're always doing it when you play piano, but to have a separate keyboard and to not have a bass guitar player.
Right.
But it's one way that, you know, from a then it's like the chord's going to be right because I know the songs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it gives you almost a little bit more leeway to just be like, well, at least
Rhythm.
the foundation is set.
Here's rhythm and the notes. So the drummers, you know, I can kind of guide. And
Right.
sing. And then I end up not really soloing very much when I play these gigs.
You let the other keyboard player kind of... and the
Another
guitar
night I
player.
might end up with a bass player, a keyboard player, and a drummer, and I'm on guitar.
Right.
And I'll take a bunch of solos.
Yeah.
But it's not important to me
Right.
to do that. You know, what I'm getting songs across. That's the whole mission statement.
One thing that I have a common love with you, so I'm into visual stuff. I have ICP tattoos everywhere. Green Jello, Green Jelly was one of my favorite bands. I love Gwar. I like bands that realize like there's other mediums out there and there's other ways to present your art. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so I like real puppetry and stuff. You seem to also have a love for visual stuff. I've seen you do lots of cut up layering stuff. You have videos with puppets and everything like
Yeah.
that. Is that something that you've always been into, the different mediums, or with connecting it with music, or it's just two different loves and you're like, oh, I can combine them?
I've always been into the art and visual art. I wasn't always making it.
Okay.
It was, I had dabbled and I'm always kind of doodling in my journals in my own way, but I never considered that to be a professional expression, or even not professional, but like something that I would put out.
Right.
What really kicked it off was COVID.
Oh, okay.
I had this EP I made called Strange World that's like pretty funky and kind of its own unique universe.
Awesome.
And I wanted to hire an animator to do, it's an 11-minute EP.
Okay, cool.
So I wanted to have an 11-minute short film.
Nice, nice.
And then COVID hit and I didn't have any gigs anymore.
Right.
So I figured out stop motion with one of my housemates at the time. Wow. And we dove in for like 3 months.
Right,
And
right.
made this 11-minute thing.
Fantastic.
And my friend Nick Shoulders, who's a great singer-songwriter too, he's an illustrator. He designed these characters.
I will have to watch this.
And then we printed them out on paper and made them into like puppets, where you could move the limbs.
Right.
And then I made backgrounds like the size of a whiteboard.
Kind of like old school South Park, almost in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would just change those out and move the puppets. And my buddy Nick Maselli, who made it with me, operating puppets, and I was taking pictures,
Yeah.
And we ended up doing this 11-minute thing. So that really was just like, and it was COVID. It was like, what the hell is going on? I'll do anything to keep, So it was kind of a cool way to arrive at it. And then since then, made a lot more music videos. The friend who makes other Henson style puppets, Noah Gray, we did 2 now, Sycamore Hill and then one for Shellfish Bastard.
Yeah, Sycamore Hill, I love that song. I think that's where I kind of pulled a little bit of the Magical Mystery Tour, Les Claypool stuff kind of from.
Yeah.
And I had actually wondered if it was a real fiddle or if it was something, but with you playing fiddle, because I believe there's a fiddle in that song. Yes,
my friend Nate Leith.
Oh, cool.
Fiddler, yeah.
But I love that.
That was
song.
another live.
Yeah.
I think I'm playing guitar on that,
But it's like it's quirky without being cheesy. It's just fun.
It's a hard line to toe.
Yeah, but you do it very well.
Thank you,
you do it extremely well.
Thank
so, but I love all that kind of like person put a lot of time into that work. There was a band from Canada, Apollo Suns, that I talked with a few weeks ago here, and they had a fan make an entire claymation video for one of their songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like years of work. And they were like,
takes time.
they just reached out to us and were like, can we make a video? And they were like, well, yeah, of course, kind of thing.
It takes time.
It does.
But that time, it translates when you're watching a video.
Oh, yeah.
And you could tell when stuff didn't take as much time, too. So.
And I love how you have a Peter Tosh video that's just you, classical guitar in front of a river and everything like that.
Yeah, spontaneous.
Yeah,
kind of just moment.
I like that kind of stuff where it's kind of just like you're an artist and you want to put music out there. You don't necessarily want to be in everybody's ear telling them about the next show and stuff like that. You're just like, come listen to me play music, and that's very cool.
It's a hard thing to figure out this day and age with the business, the way it works, but that's one, and it has its own detriment, but that's one place I've drawn a line. It's like I won't talk to a camera and tell people where to go.
Yeah.
I think it works, but it's just, you really have to protect your whatever you wanted to do,
Yeah.
And for me, moving slower in the business is worth.
And everybody's different, everybody is very different.
I've seen people that are genuinely great at it.
Right.
And that doesn't seem disingenuous, but for me to do it, the minute I'm doing it, I'm like, I don't know.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, I'd rather just play a song and put the name of the thing.
Yes. I usually have a lot of gear talk, and there's not a lot of gear necessarily to talk about, but and I apologize if I say the name wrong, Krumar?
Yes. That's an interesting one.
That looks like that's something that you use on stage a lot of the time, if I'm not mistaken. Is that kind of like
beat up?
Yeah, but in a good way. Is that kind of like your home base that you need?
It has been the best thing so far I've found to mimic a Wurlitzer or a Rhodes, and it's digital.
Yes, I was wondering because
there's no tines to fix. But it doesn't. It looks cool.
It really does.
It lights up cool, and that goes a long way.
Oh, totally.
I have a curtain I hang in front sometimes.
Right.
But right now, my mission is to find a piano.
Okay.
That I can travel with.
Nice.
Which is harder to figure out than you'd think.
Oh yeah, totally.
Actually, you'd think it'd be too difficult, and it is. So I miss the strings, especially when I'm playing solo. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you ever got to play in like an organ in a big church or anything like that, or?
Sometimes. I just played a grand piano at a festival last weekend. They had one at the festival.
Ooh.
So they rolled that on the main stage.
That's fun.
That was cool.
And then it's funny, Yamaha is one of those brands that I think every single one of these videos I talk about Yamaha because it seems like keyboard-wise, drum-wise, they make amazing gear.
CK61.
Yeah, what? That looks, I don't want to say high class, but it looks very...
It's a new one.
Classy, yeah. Is it? Do you use that for...
Basically their version of a Nord.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's got organ drawbars on it, and it's got the synth. You can change the cutoff and the resonance and that kind of stuff a little bit.
Awesome.
And then it's got great stock Wurlitzer part stuff. So I'm using a couple bass sounds on it.
Okay, cool.
On the bottom half, and then I split it so at the top there's just some cool synth patches and stuff.
That's awesome.
Mostly I play bass up there and play the Wurlitzer at least tonight. Because I've got Elliott Schwartzman who's got his own. He has a real Wurlitzer on the bottom and a Nord on top.
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
the same thing I have.
Right.
So it's a lot of swirly keyboard stuff.
Do you like playing against another keyboard player? Do you try to?
It does, as long as it's the musician.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I like all the sonic. I mean, every version of it is.
Right.
A third keyboard player might be too much, but
Yeah.
maybe not if it's the right cat.
Right. Right. I like Iron Maiden, and like you think about 3 guitar players, and you're like, that might be a lot in a metal band, and then you're like, but there's a lot you could do with somebody always playing the harmony of somebody else and stuff like that. So, I don't really have too many other questions.
Great.
Do you
My chicken sandwich is getting cold.
Sorry about that. Best way for everybody to keep track of you, Instagram, Facebook. What would be if you could let everybody know what's the best way to keep track of you?
Instagram.
Instagram. Awesome.
Yeah, probably the best way.
Cool.
And my website, ricrobertsonmusic.com, Rick without a K.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Well, dude, Rick, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
sitting
Kevin.
down and talking
It
with
was
me
fun,
and
man.
everything.
Thank you for the question. It was fun to
Yeah.
get into it a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Funkin' Waffles, thank you once again for giving us an awesome venue to sit down and do these interviews with. A great venue to come check out live music, and I'm excited to check Rick out in a few hours here and rock the stage. And Patreon fans, make sure you go on over to Patreon so we can get some exclusive questions going with the next interview. But thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Cheers.
She's gonna bring me back to you. smell of restlessness is wearing on. Oh, I'll see this highway through until the end. Somewhere deep down I know, no matter where I go, she's gonna make me whole again. She's gonna bring her back from winter. She's gonna spring the flowers to bloom. She's gonna sing me home to a dream.